welcome to the IR Update. Today with us we have Nolan Peterson, CEO of World Cooper. Hello Nolan.
Hello Amanda, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So to talk about investor relations a bit today with you, Nolan, what do you consider to be the most significant challenge you face on being the CEO of a dual listed mining company?
Yeah, that's a great question. For everyone's reference, we're listed on the TSX Venture in Canada and we're listed on the OTCQX in the United States. We actually also have a listing in Frankfurt as well, but that's not as, I guess, high profile as the TSX or OTC listings. The biggest challenge for us, I think, is the different types of investor bases for junior mining stocks in Canada and the US. The great thing about the US is that it's 10 times larger than Canada in terms of population. So in theory, you would think that the market is 10 times larger for our story and potential investors. However, the willingness of investors to put money into a junior mining company where we often trade in what is, carries a negative connotation in the US in the penny stock ranges is a challenge for us. In Canada, investors are much more willing to invest into junior mining companies at low valuations, understanding that this is the risk that they're investing in and the upside potential. And then in the United States, investors are less willing to do that. So bridging that gap and trying to bridge that knowledge gap and get people to understand that, we are still an established company. We're very serious. Just because we trade at low valuations doesn't mean that the value isn't there and that there is no long-term potential.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned a lot on your investment thesis that you are a net zero exploration strategy company. So how do you actually report that to your shareholders? And can you go over that a bit?
Yeah, I honestly, I wish we were able to take more effort into reporting it and tracking the net zero. We are a small company with limited resources, so it doesn't really make sense for us to spend a lot of money on consultants to verify that our small drill programs and efforts are net zero. Certainly when we get larger, that would make sense. These consultants can be quite pricey. What I will say to investors is big for us though is that we do have that commitment and we do try to actually put it in place. But yeah, I can't point to anything that is proof of that, unfortunately. And I think my shareholders understand that, they would rather the money be spent on value creation and actually doing those things than verification, which again doesn't make sense when we're so small.
And you mentioned your shareholder base in Canada, but how do you target and engage new investors?
Yeah, so in this day and age, it's very critical to try to keep ahead of the curve, I guess, on different strategies. Some people do grassroots things on Reddit or Twitter or other social media platforms. Some people are still doing very old school, just phoning investors day by day, calling brokers. That's not as effective as it used to be. We attend things like conferences. We put out webinars. We engage some social media outlets and do interviews. Some like this are more targeted to the investment community than the IR community. But all of this is just to try to, create awareness so that when people hear the name World Copper, they of course have already heard about it before. It's not a new concept to them, right? I think the studies show that you need to hear about a name 2 or 3 times before it truly registers, and then you can, invest in it. So that's kind of how we try to branch out and keep the message going and try to engage people who know better than we do and have tried new things to great success. And hopefully those things are still working because the market changes very quickly.
It does. In IR, it is evolving every day. You mentioned that you are doing a few things that are successful. Can you share some new initiatives that you are taking by your team that you would like to discuss?
Yeah. So we are really trying to focus on growing our investment base in Europe right now. we find that the investment base for our type of product, which is our stock, obviously, our projects, which are our product, are very high class, in my opinion, and others. We've demonstrated the value that a lot of junior mining companies have not, or have not gotten to the stage of being able to yet. And I think that resonates very well in the value-focused European markets, specifically Switzerland, Germany, the UK. They like to invest in stories where they see the value, they see a valuation mismatch, and a lot of upside. So I've been spending a lot more time going to conferences in Europe, meeting people who can help me bridge the gap to other investors in Europe, and engaging some of those people. So that brings in volume and brings in buying from long-term stable shareholders who are happy to pick up in the market and basically store those shares away where we don't need to worry about them for at least a few years, which is very important for us, as you all know.
Very good. And any last thoughts to all of our investor relations professionals that are listening to us, especially for the mining companies?
No, I guess I'm not an investment relation professional myself, except in my capacity as CEO. So I would say you guys do a great job. Keep up the good work. Let's think about, I'm interested in hearing about the new solutions and new ways of using social media to get grassroots engagement. So keep up the efforts on that front, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Well, that was it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of thoughts, and I hope to have you here with us again.
Thank you, Amanda. Anytime.